yes, you are right. What we know is from USA Facts, which uses the CDC tabular data, is that 81% of Americans took at least one shot. 19% did not. I'm one of the 19%.
Me too. Me
I
too.
didn't take a shot,
Me
right?
three.
We didn't do it.
So 19% did not take a shot. Now, of the 81% who took a shot, 70% took two shots. The other 11% said one, I can't take it. So it's really 70% that became fully vaccinated. Our CDC has not reported to us how many people took 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, 6 shots. A normal person today, healthy, would be on 7 shots. Immunocompromised would be on 10 shots. I was on a call today with Japanese. They have some people in Japan on 13 shots right now. They were very compliant. But our CDC will not tell us. My intuition is it's way less than 1%. We had Ireland today on a call. They said less than 5% are taking boosters. And that's the reason why the CDC is not reporting it. Essentially, the vaccine campaign has ended. It's ended. Now, there are calls to remove them from the market, and I think that is appropriate. But who ended the vaccine program was not Trump or Kennedy. It was actually you. People like you, by expressing your concerns, talking from family member to family member, neighbor to neighbor, town hall meetings like this. Essentially, the medical freedom movement ended COVID-19 vaccination. And it's really a victory for people who are caring about other people. In general, those who did not take the vaccine are far more concerned about their vaccinated friends and families than those individuals are themselves. And I know that's the case in my family. We have learned right now, and we have one patient in my clinic in Dallas in research, that the Pfizer messenger RNA, for an example, in him and the spike protein are circulating in his bloodstream 3.2 years after the shots.
Wow.
So it's still circulating his bloodstream. There's a paper out today or yesterday on focal points. So everyone should go to Substack and sign up for focal points. It's free. You get it every morning. And it's describing a woman with a tumor, a breast cancer, and I believe it's reported from Japan, breast cancer, and she has the spike protein from the vaccine right in the tumor.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. So the spike protein's been found directly in the heart. It's been found in the brain. In those who've had stroke and hemorrhage in the brain, the spike protein has been found in the blood vessels that burst. Spike protein is found in huge quantities in blood clots. So all these big blood clots, that's the spike protein. It folds and creates what's called amyloid structures. Amyloid structures are rubbery. That's the reason why the blood clots are large and rubbery, because they're largely made out of spike protein. Remember, the spike protein is the spine on the surface of the virus, and that's produced in endless quantities with the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. With Janssen vaccine, it should be just a big explosion of spike and then should be gone. And Novavax is the safest of all the vaccines. That's just a limited 5 microgram dose of the spike protein. So with that understanding, virtually all of long COVID and the vaccine syndromes is due to the spike protein. It's not due to any other mysterious cause. It's due to the spike protein. It should not be in our bodies, but in fact it is. So the big breakthrough in the last month or so is that LabCorp, the biggest laboratory in the United States, because of demand, is opening up testing to anybody who wants it. It's called, they get your antibodies against the spike protein. So it's an indirect measure of how much spike protein you got in your body from having COVID, being around other people, or taking the vaccine. And so how you do it is you go to LabCorp website, labcorp.com, and then you go to Labs on Demand, then click on Infectious Diseases, and then click the COVID antibody test. Now that test costs $69 cash. You sign up for it, you pay for it online, and then you go get your blood drawn at a LabCorp office, and you'll get your result the next day. And there's multiple papers published on this. I've published with my group at McCullough Foundation. If your number is less than 1,000 units per ml, that's just leftover antibody from COVID in the past, and almost certainly the COVID is out of your body. If you're over 5,000, you probably still have spike protein in the bloodstream. And then I think at 10, 15, up to 25,000, you're potentially in trouble. So I think everybody on this call should get a blood test for the spike protein, whether you've had COVID or not. Let me give an example. I had COVID once proven in 2020, and then 2 other times where I think I probably had it, but I didn't get a test. But by the end of 2023, my ears were ringing. I didn't feel well. Couldn't run as well as I could. I just wondered, do I have this stuff in me? I got a test and I was at 2,300. So I was above the 1,000 threshold.
Okay.
So I went on detoxification, which I'll describe in a minute. And I followed it religiously. And after about 9 months, I rechecked my test and I was at 900. So I got it down in half and I felt much better. My ringing in my ears is about 90% gone. Now I'm back. I feel fit. I feel strong. I'm, very, very happy I did this. I'm grateful I didn't end up with a blood clot or some type of problem.
Wow.
Now I've had patients in my practice on focal points. I had one guy who took the shots, and he was at about 7, 8, or 8,000. Within, I think, 6 months, he got it down to 5,000 on the detox. And I've had people, take it all the way down. And so what we mean by detox is taking the combination of nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin, which are natural products, in combination at high doses for probably 9 to 12 months. And the lead product is by the Wellness Company. If you go to twc.health/courage, get the ultimate spike detox, because we worked on this for several years. We've got multiple peer-reviewed publications. It's the only scientifically supported approach to get this stuff out of the body. And just follow the directions on the bottle, 2 capsules on an empty stomach twice a day under doctor's supervision, because it is a slight blood thinner. You can advance to 4 capsules twice a day, which I do in severe cases. And I have thousands of patients under direct observation. Patients characteristically get better. Hallelujah. And we can get past this. Now, people have said, wait a minute, Dr. McCullough, that's not getting rid of the Pfizer or Moderna messenger RNA, and they're correct. And the only way we know right now to get rid of that is that the 2 papers by Hannah and colleagues have found the messenger RNA in breast milk. Now, I know this is a terrible thought that a woman could pass the vaccine to the baby, but in fact, she can. But breast milk is modified sweat. So that means for sure messenger RNA comes out in sweat. So I've told people, listen, get out there and sweat. I'm from Texas. It's not hard to do if you live in the South, but some people up north, get a membership to Lifetime Fitness, get in the sauna and start sweating to get that stuff out of your body. I think it's very important. Initially we saw a wave of cardiac arrests with athletes. That's due to what's called vaccine myopericarditis. But afterwards, the athletes have done okay. And I think the reason being is they sweated this stuff out of their bodies. So very importantly, McCullough protocol, base spike protein detoxification, scientifically supported in the peer-reviewed literature, and I'm relying on my practice. Get the Wellness Company Ultimate Spike Detox. Other methods to get out of the body include sweating, and I think there are supportive data for hyperbaric oxygen treatment, but it's very expensive. So those are my comments, and then I'll open it up for questions or feedback.
Well,
I just have a question about that. Can someone, if you touch someone that was sweaty, would that be like a shutting kind of thing? Could you get the COVID from that?
It's theoretically possible. Yeah, it's theoretically possible. We believe most of the shedding comes through exosomes, through exhaled breath. So it's really close contact, typically more than 3 hours. It's never been proven to be transferred during sexual intercourse or other, close contact between athletes. But we simply don't know. There's never been a case of transference that's been documented through a blood transfusion. But there's great uncertainties there. I think if everybody just gets on the spike detox, and we intentionally at the Wellness Company did not patent this. So anybody can go buy any generic combinations out there that you need or want, because so many people need this. The Japanese take nattokinase anyway for heart prevention. The Asian Indians use curcumin for arthritis and for cancer prevention. So like, why not take these healthy, supplement products?
I think that's a great idea.
So in 2025, actually this month, a University of Oxford and Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences published in Science Immunology tracked over 200 COVID-19 survivors and found that their spike-specific CD4 plus T cells evolved over the 3 to 4 years into some potent cytotoxic kill switch, producing high levels of granzyme A to directly destroy infected cells and suppress the virus long time. While this explains milder reinfections, the researchers warn it could drive chronic inflammation in some cases, especially post-vaccination. Given your work on, the vaccine-induced immune dysregulation and the cardiovascular risks that you've already pointed out, and we've had you on the show when you were pointing it out, how do you see the natural T cell mechanism comparing to the antibody focus response from the mRNA booster?
I tell you, Ashley, I can tell you've really upped your game over the years. You just whizzed through that manuscript. Bruce Patterson at InsolDX has found that there are fragments of the spike protein, particularly the S1 segment, which is the outer tip. He's found it in, white blood cells, which are T cells. He's found it there at least 15 months after the infection. He's found it there a couple of years after the vaccine. So the point is, these T cells and other forms of white blood cells are carrying the spike protein inside of them. That's what's making them so angry. And so, they transform, and you're right, they do cause inflammation. And the good thing about nattokinase, which is in the ultimate spike detox, it is outside cells and it easily goes inside cells to help digest the spike protein and hopefully restore the immune system back to normal. But I think it's a very insightful analysis.
Real quick, tell me one more time, how do we go to get the spike test? And one more time, what's the website to do the spike test?
Well, let's see a show of hands. Who here has gotten their spike test measured? Anybody?
No, nobody.
Nobody on the program. Well, then there you go. Everybody should go to LabCorp. So go online to labcorp.com, go to Labs on Demand, where you can demand your own tests, and then click on infectious diseases, then click on COVID antibody. And that's what you want to sign up for is $69. Sign up, get an account with LabCorp. You pay $69, and then you show up there. You don't need to bring anything in. You're in the computer. I did it myself. And just show up, and they draw the blood, and you get the answer the next day. It's a very high quality assay. It's well worth $69. Everybody needs to know where they stand on this. Some people have been around loved ones who have, severe COVID, and they had a lot of exposure in 2020. Some people took the vaccines, but you have to know. So I gave you my vignette. Let me give you another one. My mother-in-law, who's 92, she had to take 2 shots of Pfizer for us to get her out of Canada because it was during COVID and they're very old and it was really rough. So she takes these 2 shots and she lives with us. So I've been watching my mother-in-law for years. Nothing, 0 side effects, nothing whatsoever. I was so curious. I said, you know what? We got to check her test. I just can't believe this. Sure enough, her number comes back at 200.
Wow.
Lower than me. So
is it possible she got
Like
placebo?
Yeah.
she likely got a complete dud.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
wait.
That's a blessing.
if you're worried about your family members who have taken the shot, you're not sure, have them get this test at LabCorp. You don't need a doctor anymore. It's interesting. Doctors at Mayo Clinic refuse to order this test.
Oh, wow.
Major hospitals refuse because they know how useful it is.
Wow.
And I tell you, when I went to LabCorp, I asked the lady who's drawn my blood, I said, are you familiar with this test? And she rolled her eyes. She goes, boy, am I familiar. Just doing it all day long.
Wow. Interesting.
October 6th, OSHA directive admitting it discovered healthcare employers from reporting COVID vaccination injuries, echoing your critiques of suppressed data. has critics like you calling it denial of informed consent. How does this tie into CDC's same-day guidance requiring pre-vaccination consultations? And what reforms should patriots demand to protect workers' rights under pro-freedom HHS like RFK Jr.?
Well, there you go. OSHA, part of this employer, impetus, and it started out with, strong suggestion, coercion, and ultimately mandating COVID vaccines. OSHA, through this Freedom of Information Act that really took years to obtain, OSHA was actively suppressing reporting any COVID injuries, because actually they're worksite injuries. If you take a vaccine and have a cardiac arrest there in the hospital lobby, that's a worksite injury. They work to suppress that. So there may be an angle, if any one of you or have family members who had to take a shot, particularly healthcare workers, where I was, they give them right in the lobby. That's a worksite injury. Others have said, listen, if your work asks you to take it, even if you go to CVS or Walgreens, that's still a workplace injury. But we'll have to see how far that goes. But I think anybody in the military, that's right at the place of employment. And there's so many other people who just got their shots right where they work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Your recent X commentary highlights HHS's 20-year delay on MMR safety changes, mirroring broader vaccine skepticism, and polls showing distrust among pregnant women and families, drawing from your analysis of mRNA spikes roles in myocarditis and CNS events like prison disease. How can parents reclaim medical sovereignty by spacing shots or opting for monovalent alternatives without big pharma pushback?
A recent paper in JAMA showed that 60% of parents now are not going to follow the vaccine schedule. They've lost their trust in vaccines. So, yeah, listen, pediatricians are going to face this. The vaccines, when we took very few of them when we were kids and spaced out, it didn't really accumulate much in the way of safety concerns. But they have now a child, when they receive the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, the MMR, they also receive 5 other shots at the same time. And there's 2 dose administrations early on. We're at a point where enough is enough. There are now well more than 100 papers linking all these shots in combination to the development of neuropsychiatric disorders. We're talking about attention deficit disorder, autism, tics, and seizures. So this doesn't look good. All the evidence is pointing in that direction at this point in time. It was so concerning in Japan. In 1993, Japan outlawed the MMR vaccine, outlawed it. So you can only take the vaccines separately. What you need to know is that vaccines are far safer if they're given later in life, fewer in number, and spaced apart. It's far safer to do that. And you saw the President Trump RFK press briefing on this, where Trump pretty quickly said, listen, it's the vaccines, and he's right. And during the question and answer period, he said, listen, the Amish have never taken vaccines. In Texas, we have the Mennonites, and they're fine. And they have little or no autism that we're aware of. This autism is a big deal. Right now, it's 3.2% of the childhood population. 27% of those kids are completely disabled. They can't communicate, they're screaming, can't use the bathroom independently. They have lifelong needs. So if we don't get a handle on this autism as a society, we are in trouble. There are probably multiple risk factors for autism, but probably one of the biggest ones is taking these vaccines in combination. So if you need some guidance on this, the World Council for Health on their website in 2023 issued guidance, and it's called Safer to Wait. Now, this is a physician-led, evidence-based, consensus-driven organization. And what that means is, if you have a healthy child born today, when the baby comes out and they clamp the cord, deliver the placenta, baby goes to mother, and that's it. That's it. No shots. No shots of any kind, just a natural birth. That's it. And the World Council for Health says, listen, that's a much safer approach. A healthy child born today, there's 12 studies that show this, stays healthier if they take no shots because they're very unlikely to develop any allergies, food allergies, autism, seizures, or any of these other problems.
We're going to get ready to open up here Q&A with other panel members here on Town Hall. Dr. McCullough, you've exposed the pandemic era shutdown of scientific debate as turning mRNA vaccines into article of faith, as discussed in your October 7th Daily Caller interview. Now with OSHA's injury reporting scandal and AI's ongoing suppression of safety signals, what key tools and protocols from the wellness company should everyday Americans use to detox spike proteins and counter these institutional barriers? Because you know what? You've lived it. You've gotten your license ripped and all these things happen to you.
Yeah.
People like us got our social media ripped from us, and you know, you're a bad boy and I had a whole year taken away from me. But anyway, what do you think about the answer to this? Thank you.
I think everybody should probably get a wellness company membership. The advantages are there's a membership for $10, it just gives you discounts all the time. Then there's a membership for $49, this is per month. And at $49, you get free prescription medicines, which is really good. And then at $99, you get free telemedicine as much as you want with the doctors, and you get free supplements and you get free medicines. And that's really good. So I've got a membership because I'm on blood pressure medicine and some other things, and I'm older. And, you know, it just comes free. I literally just had it shipped to me the other day, and it comes from a pharmacy in Beaumont, Texas. It's wonderful. I think people ought to get memberships. That way you're on base and you'll never get burned with, you know, all the, you go to CVS and Walgreens, I don't care how much good insurance you are. It's amazing how much money you blow there. You might as well get a membership. And then at Wellness Company, you can handle a lot of things naturally. We have so many wonderful products like heart support, the mind lift, which helps with kind of blue moods and depression. We do it all naturally without heavy prescription drugs. And then the other big thing at the Wellness Company is to get an emergency medical kit. The emergency medical kit's going to pre-prescribe the drugs for you that if we ever have another one of these lockdowns, or if you have an emergency like a hurricane would have you and everything shut off, you have what you need. The big one is called the field kit. So a lot of you people live in the rural areas, get a field kit. It has every antibiotic, every first aid thing, everything you could possibly need. Even has an EpiPen to manage, allergic emergencies. The field kit is wonderful. I've got one of those. And let me tell you what, when we travel, every time now we travel, there's somebody does something. Last time we ski every year, a guy in our group burned his hand trying to make chocolate chip cookies. Sure enough, I got out the emergency kit, was able to manage the burn. We've had people, get food poisoning. We need the Zofran to cover the nausea. People get UTIs, get food poisoning. We went to Mexico. Somebody got food poisoning. We needed the antibiotics there. You get an emergency medical kit, and before you know it, you'll use it. And because it has the drugs in it pre-prescribed in your name, if you use a little bit of a bottle, you just get online and say you want a new bottle. It's called replenishment. So it's a very, very good deal to get a Wellness Company emergency kit.
Yeah,
perfect.
Sounds great.
We're opening up now the Q&A session with members, town hall members and panel members with us. And they have simple rules. They have 30, 45 seconds to ask one question. And Dr. Peter McCullough will respond. Rosemarie will start first. Thank you so much. Rosemarie, Florida, go ahead. Thank you.
Well, I have a question for you, Dr. McCullough. First of all, thank you for all of the information and your appearing tonight. I would like to know if you would kindly send me a page of information regarding this conversation tonight, and so that we could share it across the United States, because our newsletter, or actually magazine now, goes out to hundreds of people, and we would like to inform them. I know I've been pretty healthy because I haven't taken any vaccines since I was very, very young. My dad was a doctor, so we need to, get this information out, and we thank you. And I have Dr. Karen Todd on tonight. She's had long-term COVID, and she can't figure out how to unmute, but she would very much like to ask you a question as well.
Okay.
You were asking about Karen Todd, and she's my very, very good friend and neighbor. So please take her question, and I do appreciate your
Thank you.
sending me. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We'll get some information from Dr. Peter McCullough to put it in a magazine. That's what Rosemary wants. So now let's call on Teresa. So let's get Teresa up here. She is our pillar leader for the Christian. So she's our Christian pillar leader. Go ahead, Teresa, what's your question? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McCullough, for coming on tonight and for the past as well. I wanted to ask you if you are in agreement with Dr. Tenpenny. Do you know who she is?
Yes.
Okay. She, of course, it was like a little too late for me, but she says that they snuck that that whatever poison in the flu shots. And I can tell you within 5 days, I've had flu shots for years, but within 5 days after having the flu shot, I was like so lethargic. I was so sick for a couple of years because my hair was falling out in chunks. My thyroid numbers were like 10 times what they were supposed to be. My primary care sent me to an endocrinologist, and it took her a couple of years to get my thyroid properly working. So I do believe, that she's right, but I wanted to know if you agreed as well.
Well, to my knowledge, for influenza alone, that that the messenger RNA is not yet an influenza. It's being developed for that, but it is in the respiratory syncytial virus vaccine, the messenger RNA vaccine. Moderna has one on the market, and the genetic vaccines the genetic vaccines for animals has come forward. So you really need to watch out for your pets. And in fact, they're starting to roll. If you notice for your pets, by the way, it's the same issue that they're being over vaccinated. And in pets nowadays, you get an email from your vet that you have to take far more than you've ever seen before. And, so very importantly, Tenpenny's right. Now, she has the advantage. She's never taken a vaccine in her life. And I asked her on my show, and, she goes, well, I know so much about vaccines and what have you. And I said, did you ever take one yourself? And she said, no. I said, well, listen, you need to thank your father, your parents for this. She got a big head start. Me, I had taken 69 vaccines before I, became aware of what a problem this is. I was so sick. I had taken flu shots, 40 of them, to be on staff at a hospital. And the flu shots actually more likely for you to get flu and more likely to get colds. And that's been shown in randomized trials in a big study from Cleveland Clinic. That's what was happening to me. I was sick. If you saw me on Fox News, I was sick all the time. I stopped taking flu shots in 2021. I've finally gotten healthy, and now I've been free of getting colds now for a long time.
Perfect. We got a question from Frank in Kansas. Frank, go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Great static there. Hey, Peter, great that you're on here tonight. I work with Dr. David Martin with some of his activities. You know him. You've been on stage with him. You've been over to Europe with him and the European Union. One of the things that he's talked about from the very beginning is cerididine, which is something that he believes is inside these gene therapy shots. And can you give any color, because that ingredient has a restrictive value on T cell protection in the cancer cell domain. So you've been talking about cancer, and I don't know very many people of your level of expertise have talked much about this at all. So can you give any color on this from your perspective?
Yeah, Frank, are you referring to pseudouridine?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, Carrico and Weissman won the Nobel Prize last year for pseudouridine. So, uh, RNA, we have normal messenger RNA in our body, and your cells are making it all the time. It's used one time, and then it's broken down by enzymes. So it's a use, dispose, use. That's normal messenger RNA. So when Pfizer and Moderna created the messenger RNA coding for the Wuhan spike protein, that messenger RNA was dissolved right away after one use, and they realized it wasn't going to last in the body very long. So then they tested replacing one normal base pair called uracil with a synthetic base pair compound called pseudouridine. And they tried 20%, 50%, 80%. And they finally just said, you know what, we're going to replace all of it. So when Pfizer and Moderna made that decision, they made their messenger RNA fully synthetic, meaning no human enzyme can break it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Nobody can get rid of this stuff outside of maybe sweating it out. And recently, Kevin McKernan, in a man with colon cancer, has found the messenger RNA right in the colon cancer. We have a paper with John Cantazzaro at Neo7 Bioscience of one of my patients who had a turbo cancer. And we have found that his gene expression of his normal genes is markedly changed. So it implies that the pseudouridinated messenger RNA must have reverse transcribed and installed the code for Pfizer in this man's DNA now, carrying it essentially in perpetuity. So these are mechanisms by which the pseudouridinated messenger RNA could not only last a long time, but it could impair DNA repair as a mechanism of causing cancer, or it can, and it does produce spike protein. The spike protein itself almost certainly suppresses tumor suppressor systems. So yes, there are multiple papers now linking COVID-19 vaccination to cancer. The term turbo cancer really applies, and I've seen this in my practice. It's a rapidly developing cancer that is just out of proportion to what the risk profile is. You probably saw Dr. Sion on Tucker Carlson, where he said he's now got little 10 and 11-year-old boys and girls with colon cancer. We've never seen that before.
Wow. Very good question, Frank. Doug, Texas, go ahead with your question. You're next. Thank you.
Well, I've got a simple one here. I got an uncle here in Texas. He's a fairly important man one time, and one of the smartest guys I've ever run into. And he came up to me earlier this year. Now, he's had 2 surgeries, open heart surgeries, where they've been removing blockages. And I tried to tell him about you for a while. And so when you came on, it was fortuitous. So I told him, when he said his doctor, this is no more than 2 or 3 months ago, and he goes, well, that guy's kept me alive. And I said, maybe he's fishing all these fibrous things out of your heart that he concocted, because he's been giving him the COVID shot the whole time. He goes, and he tells me he needs a new boat. He says, I need another booster. And he says, what would you do, Doug? And I said, well, I mentioned you, of course. And then I said, you need to go get another damn doctor. You need to fire his ass. Now, I just want to make sure that I didn't tell him wrong, but I was fairly graphic about it.
I'm worried about any doctor that's still promoting the vaccines. Most of them are just silent right now. For sure, the vaccines do promote heart blockages. For sure. I've seen countless cases of it, and it's reported in the peer-reviewed literature. Every shot he takes, it's like playing Russian roulette. That could be the end. And you still hear about cardiac arrests all the time. When we do autopsies on these cardiac arrests, it's actually the vaccine is the cause of death.
Now, he's had these 2 blockages, and then so every year it seems like he's going under the knife. And then he was like, well, he says, the doctor's been keeping me alive. And this guy's 80-something years old, and he works on a ranch out in Hallettsville. And he's got his own ranch there. He lives in Austin and a couple other things. But he's standing on the front of a boat, pile driving piles into his little lake there, balancing on that at 80 something years old. I can't do that. I said, that's what's keeping you alive. It
Yeah.
ain't that damn doctor.
Very,
Agreed.
very, very well. Good job, Doug. Ron, Nevada, go ahead with your question. Thank you, Doug.
Well, sir, thank you for coming on again and giving us all this information. My late wife passed from cardiac arrest from a heart blockage after she took the vaccine. But my question is there anything happening as far as there any push to stop this bad RMNA spike protein from being brought into our food supply? Is there any awareness of that? Is there any programs to stop that from happening? Because I've heard that it's being introduced to our food supply through, the feed that they give the pigs or what have you, the cows or what have you. Is there any push to stop that from happening?
Only two states right now, Ohio and Missouri, had bills to try to ban this, and in both places it was defeated. The self-replicating genetic vaccines are in pork now for sure, and so I think if you're going to eat ham for Thanksgiving, you got to think twice about. Now, in meat in general, something like bacon that you cook really good, you probably denature it and fry it enough. It's probably not a worry. But, anything less than that, I'd be concerned. The Chinese have shown that they can get messenger RNA into like a watermelon juice. For some reason that works. And you drink it, it gets into the body. And they have been able to get it into milk. And if you drink milk and get it in the body. So I think we need legislation to make sure this stuff does not enter full bore into the U.S. food supply. It's scary. A lot of these food associations, they're kind of in bed with big pharma. So
Absolutely.
there's two beef associations. One is the U.S. Cattlemen Association. Brooke Miller used to lead it. And those are the good guys. They want to have full disclosure of what's in these and labels, and they're fought by the National Beef Association, which is kind of controlled by the Chinese, where they conceal where the beef comes from, and they're going full bore with vaccination.
Thank you so much for that, McGay. So our corruption leader in Hawaii, aloha. Thank you with your question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. McCullough. I'm unvaccinated, but the governor in Hawaii is the poster boy for the United Nations, who still pushes vaccines and boosters upon booster upon booster. We live in a perfect climate for weather every day. How much damage or any damage do you believe the lockdowns had with maybe compounding or accelerating COVID or even depression or other things in people during this push for the COVID vaccine? And were we better off staying in healthy?
Oh, sorry.
I said, no, were we better off being outdoors constantly in the sun?
Yeah, well, you look terrific out there. I see the breeze and everything else. I just was outside when Ashley called me. Texas, great weather too. 85% of the transmission of the virus occurred in the household. And in the very first version of McCullough protocol, step one was to get outside so we don't continue to re-inoculate with the virus. And there were wonderful studies done from Singapore showing you basically couldn't transmit it outside. So if people just stayed outside and of course get sunlight, vitamin D, the salt water, all of that is kind of antiviral, they would have been far healthier. And the cities that really got hammered with COVID are very vertical cities where people live in these high-rise condos. And that's Wuhan, Milan, where they have multi-generational, they all live very vertically, and then New York. It kind of went just like that. And, you get out to rural areas, it was not nearly as bad. People were outside, and the island nations should have done well. Josh Green appeared to the U.S. Senate with me on May 21st, 2025. And quite honestly, he was humiliated. I don't know if you saw Senator Jesse Moreno just pound him about these unnecessary lockdowns. 60% of the businesses that were closed during lockdowns, they never reopened. Kids lost a year of education. It probably made COVID far worse. We never should have locked down. Jay Bhattacharya, who wrote the Great Barrington Declaration, was correct. We should have never locked down, just special protections for the seniors.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get Rob Ohio up here now. Come on up. Go ahead with your question, Rob. Oh. Rob? Oh my goodness. Go for it.
Okay. Welcome back, Dr. McCullough.
Thank you.
Recently I was given the choice of a tetanus shot, and I found out that even though it's, I guess you would call it a vaccine, it was combined with several other vaccines at the same time. I was paying attention, so I said no to it. Is there any laws or anything to tell, to divide them up to where they're not given in multiples?
The vaccine industry is moved to these combination shots. For instance, you can't get a single measles shot anymore. And it happened to me twice where when I was a fellow, I had to get my measles antibodies and I didn't have any. So I was actually forced to take the measles, mumps, and rubella, the kids' vaccine, when I was an adult. It happened twice, and it sounded like it almost happened to you, where it was tetanus, diphtheria, and acellular pertussis. Listen. When you take multiple things at once, you're more likely to get a side effect. And, some of the weird side effects with vaccines, they're rare, but, when it happens to you, it's 100%. The one I worry about the most is Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a form of paralysis. It starts with the feet and it works its way up. It happened to a guy who works with my brother here in Dallas just after a flu shot. And the guy's permanently paralyzed in bed after a flu shot. And you wonder, is it worth it? I mean, come on, tetanus, we clean out wounds nowadays. We have antibiotics, and it's just not compelling.
Thank you very much.
Susan, Hawaii, go ahead. You won't be able to see her, Doctor. We only got 4 more questions, and we're going to let Doctor carry on with his night. So sorry about that. Susan, go ahead.
Aloha, Dr. McCullough. It's so nice to have you with us. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about germ theory versus terrain theory. I mean, we've got bioweapon just mania all across the world. And I know some of these countries are going into, like Ukraine and others, they're uncovering, and even in the United States itself, just a plethora of bioweapons labs, and they're finding every way they can to, just wreak havoc with us one way or the other. Can you kind of expound on that a little bit, please?
There seems to be a madness with the development of what's called pathogens of dual purpose, of pathogens of pandemic capabilities that have dual purpose. And the Biden administration put out guidance for this about a summer ago. And we have 14 of these super dangerous labs in the United States, every bit as dangerous as the Chinese lab. The one close to me is in Galveston, Texas. And they're trying to create viruses or other bacteria that can get the whole world sick and then create vaccines at the same time. And the goal is whoever holds both of those assets, they hold power. And so all these governments are racing to do this. We have a unit within the NIH called BARDA. They're trying to do that. And then a unit in the military called DARPA. And it's a very, very dangerous. It's like having an arms race, but there's no regulation. There's leaks that come out of these labs all the time. And on the Substack Focal Points, Nick Hulscher has published on this, hundreds of leaks. We're lucky we haven't had a whole town get sick yet. And Trump's just pulled the federal funding for this. But that doesn't stop this. Most of the funding can come from pharmaceutical companies, from foundations like Gates Foundation, Wellcome Trust, Rockefeller Trust. I think we should shut down these biolabs altogether. I don't want any a biolab anywhere close to me. I'm on a standing committee for the Arizona Senate. I told the senators, I said, listen, get an inventory of all your state biolabs. I think you should write your representatives on this. They need to inventory what's going on in these university labs. And I personally think that it needs to be shut down. All the experts agree there's going to be another pandemic, and it's going to come out of a biolab, just like the last one.
Wow. We are getting a question from our California state leader, Christian. Go ahead, and Sabine's on deck. Go ahead, Christian.
Hello, Dr. McCullough. Thank you for being here. I have a question about something that we no longer hear about very often, and that's monoclonal antibodies. That was big when this COVID first came out. Now we hear nothing of it. Do you know why?
You know, I've told the Trump administration that the winner of Operation Warp Speed has been the monoclonal antibodies, not the vaccines. Remember, Operation Warp Speed developed drugs, vaccines, in vitro diagnostic tests. The bottom line is the monoclonal antibodies, there were 6 of them. First one was bamlanivimab by Lilly. They were always safe and effective. They worked. And the tragedy was they were pulled off the market one after another. They should have left these off the market. Every nursing home should have received them. The United States government bought enough doses to cover every American. Every person who came to the ER should have gotten a monoclonal antibody. Sadly, only 15% of sick patients got the monoclonal antibodies, and when they were admitted to the hospital, they survived. The patients who did not get the monoclonal antibodies died. So we don't hear about them anymore because they're completely taken off the market. And I think it's a great tragedy that the real winner of Operation Warp Speed was never mentioned, and we're stuck with the losers, which are the vaccines.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian, for that. Sabine, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Dr. McCullough. It's good to see you again. So I have a friend that I had, warned, please don't get the vaccines, and she ended up getting 2, and she ended up about 8 months later with a heart attack, quadruple bypass surgery, almost died. So anyway, I tried to get her to come on this show. I guess I'm going to have to share the Rumble channel with her so she can watch it, because I think it's going to be very beneficial to her. She's just not been the same since that surgery either. I mean, she's, she still has pain also in her chest, and it's not good. But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question. I know you're not an animal doctor, but what would you suggest as far as because I get worried about all these vaccines that they're giving the dogs. In fact, I declined one the last time that I went to the vet. I said, well, what is that for? And she told me, and I said, well, she doesn't need that. I'm declining that one, So what would you suggest that we probably should get? And all the other ones, I want to be able to just narrow it down to 1 or 2 if possible. Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah, I had a chance to interview some leading veterinarians, and apparently what you do need is rabies and you need distemper. Those are the big ones.
Okay.
All the other ones you don't need, and our dog sadly passed away about 6 months ago. She was 16 and a half years old. But the last email my wife got, there was literally 17 vaccines that they were going to give her. And the other thing is, when we used to take her to get her clipping, take her to the doggy spa, they would demand that she take more vaccines before they shampoo her. So, I think you got to let the market pressures, you need to find, these more holistic veterinarians, find spas that don't demand that you take the shots. I am concerned, like our dog had seizures. I wonder how much of the seizures.
Yeah, seizures. Wait, stop right there, Dr. McCullough. Seizures. A lot of dogs get seizures from these vaccines. I know
We had one.
more than 10 dogs that's got seizures. And you know what? Valerie and I, we said no more vaccines. We don't even do rabies or anything, just nothing. And our dogs are going to last beyond 16.
Well, it's interesting, you don't see wolves or coyotes or animals having seizures out in the wild. It just doesn't happen. And it makes me wonder if the vaccines are the cause of seizures. I can tell you allergies, these animals shouldn't get allergies. So dog allergies and cancers. And I recently looked into wolves, who are close cousins of dogs. And I found almost little or no evidence that wolves get cancer. And, virtually every dog dies of cancer. And I am suspicious that the vaccines are behind it, and it's gratifying to hear that some people are going with no shots. And so I just think getting back to natural for both humans and veterinary medicine is the way to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rosemary wants to ask a question for her friend that lost internet connection. Go ahead.
But I'm very happy to hear about the dog situation. I used a holistic veterinarian, Dr. Marty Goldstein. I don't know if you've seen him on TV. He now has a food. Never gave our dogs any of these vaccines. We had show dogs only the 2 vaccines that were required. And they wanted Bordetella, this, that, and the other. But I do agree that, but now I do have a question for Karen. I don't want to take up your time. Karen did lose her phone because we have a very bad storm going down here. So she's had long COVID. She's lost her sense of smell. She is a doctor. She's lost her sense of smell. She also has a tremor. So she cannot do surgery anymore because of the tremor. But I was wondering for her what you would recommend.
What could she do?
Probably the.
But yeah, I can't give direct medical advice, but let me tell you, I see patients like this in my practice. And by the way, this will be my last answer. I would check the antibodies to the spike protein. I've put the direct link to LabCorp. I'm going to do it right now in the chat because it'll come up periodically in the chat. So she should get her antibody test. I imagine it's sky high. But when there's a loss of taste and smell, any type of hearing loss, visual changes, rash, even persistent pulmonary symptoms, it's indicative of what's called a SARS-CoV-2 reservoir. That means the virus has actually installed itself in the body, and it can stay in the GI tract, it can stay up in the sinuses. And so in cases like this, of course, we do the spike detox. So she should get her blood test, then take the ultimate spike detox in a wellness company, at least 2 capsules twice a day. And what I do in my clinical practice for cases like this, because we think the virus is still present, we use ivermectin. And I'll prescribe it continuously for about 90 days. So Rosemary, somebody about your size, just looking at you, you'd probably take 24 milligrams a day for 90 days. Somebody my size be like 36 milligrams a day for 90 days. It comes in 12 milligram increments. And I bet her sense of taste and smell will improve. She'll feel much better. The detox will need to be for a year. The other thing I recommend for that is to use a nasal spray and gargle twice a day. And I think the best one to reorient the microbiome is called Clear, Xlear, Clear. And then the companion gargle is called Spry, Spry. And she needs to do it religiously twice a day, continuously. I mean, for a year. And the microbiome in the nose and mouth will improve. That combination of the detox, the ivermectin, the sprays and gargles, her sense of smell will return, the tremor will stop, and she'll be back to normal.
We would love to have you back in the future, sir. Can we get you to come back?
I'm happy to come back. You guys always put it late, so make sure you send me a reminder through the day, because I promised my wife I'd take her up, but thank God I was on the way back. So,
well,
okay.
We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time, Dr. Peter McCullough.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's Dr. Peter McCullough, guys. Now we're going to go to the state intel round. I'm going to bring up Rob, Ohio. I'm going to bring up Frank. I'm going to bring up Doug, Texas, Christian, California, Brett, Pamela, Georgia, Ron, Nevada. We're going to bring up some people tonight to talk. So first, let me get Rob. Gosh, I don't see him. Oh, He's got a magnifying glass on his thing, so he might be away from the keyboard for a moment. So let's get McGaso up here then. McGaso, help Rob kick off the intel round since he's sort of farting around a little bit there. And how did you like tonight?
Well, tonight was great. Dr. McCullough is always great. He's been to, we had him on a Zoom call very early on in COVID when we were at Olympic Cafe having a far rights gathering, and he's always been very good.
Okay, good. Well, let's see what Ron's got to say. Ron, what did you think about? Oh, he's MIA. So let's remove him from spotlight. Well, McGay, so before we go to state, what's a national topic that we should bring up tonight?
Oh, there's so much going on. I think I told you earlier I can't stay on very long tonight. I'm working on my own case.
Yeah,
moving forward.
Okay. Well,
but we're in the middle of Red October, if you would. And there's a lot of subpoenas that are being responded to. So I think people are, at least those who haven't been on top of things, are seeing a little bit of action. But they should watch the Senate hearings or the hearings as well, and not rely on legacy news.
Okay, that's good. Let's not forget about the new indictment. Letitia James indicted for her crimes. So we got Comey, Letitia James. There's just going to be more and more people lining up. I'm excited for accountability, but really, we just had this nice discussion with McCullough. When is COVID accountability actually going to be implemented? Let me get Frank up here. Frank, when's that going to happen? You know, when are we going to get the accountability hammer on the COVID scandal? Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Lima Charlie, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a tough one. This is a tough one because just go back to the Rand Paul.
Recording in progress.
What was that?
That was Rosemary. I got to mute her.
All right. So just go back to when Rand Paul had Fauci on the stand 3 times. Rand Paul has the indicting information, has had it since 2021. So you won't see anything of accountability that you and I and everyone on here would want. It's not going to happen. Everything's being deflected so that in about 2 or 3 months, we're going to have kind of the step into, what do you call it? International friction and conflict, which is more of a neocon war conflict. So, Peter mentioned the likelihood of another pathogen release. I think I told you, Ashley, back in July, when certain people brought the awareness of something that might be distributed into the network, was actually averted. So I think Washington, D.C., fireworks, they did a sweep of the fireworks. They found things that were toxic and they took them away. Now, the only reason I know that is someone that you want to have on the show here was asked to come in by the CIA and they told them. Okay, so it's just a warning, surveillance, got rid of it, no problem, right? So I heard Peter talk about some very good things tonight. Glad he was on. He's probably one of the top people in the mainstream area bringing awareness to the people like himself who were taking vaccines up until 2021 that are kind of getting the picture.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. So what he's bringing with some others is really good. Interesting when we got into the let's say the animal area, because I know it through our dogs, I know it through my equine relationships. Everything that we talk about in terms of injection technology that results through the veterinarian program, because I get notifications once a week that we haven't given our dogs PET scan, whatever it is, to our HOA group. And we're like, we never answer.
That's ridiculous.
Well, exactly. But whether it's a pediatrician or whether it's a veterinarian, they look at your records and, well, if I haven't been to a doctor in 10 years, so if I went in there, they probably say, Frank, you haven't had A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's just their job. So I think, and Ashley, back to your question. For many of us, it's the most frustrating element that we've lived through, that the accountability function hasn't moved into the vector that we would want.
Here's what I want to say to that.
That's true.
We need to be cognizant of this. Us Christians need to get and rally behind this, that Satan and his minions will never admit that they lied. They'll never admit that they've done all the stuff. It never would be admitted. And we have to accept the fact that they are never going to admit it, but we still have to figure out a way to hold them accountable.
So, to your statement and point there, I agree 100%. That's where so I listened to Warner Mendenhall, who was on the Shannon Joy show, I think 2 days ago. Warner covered the elements of the Brooke Jackson case, because Brooke was on first, then he came on, and they discussed the interaction going on. And Warner's been involved in a variety of legal pursuits. I happen to know him personally. David knows him personally, and a whole bunch of other people. If I had another question, I would ask Peter if he's had any interaction with Warner for the things that he may have pursuit on. But Warner went into a wonderful discussion of the eugenics programs that go back, in the early 1900s, even before the 1900s, and how COVID-19 was just an extension of those programs. So we have to take a look at it in the way that it has been constructed. Now, what's the difference? This was distributed worldwide, not like some of the other programs that were within the United States, whether it was penicillin and the Tuskegee stuff, in the experimentation in various military activities and communities. So, vigilance into some of the people and AGs, which no AG, other than bringing some of the issues that a Pfizer or another company has stepped over the line, but they haven't brought it in the right way. I think Warner's getting closer and closer into this area that may step on some of these companies' toes. So I would, for all the people listening, Shannon is on Rumble and other things, but just go to her recent interview with Brooke Jackson and Warner Mendenhall, and you'll get a good scope of how Warner, who was in the trenches working these issues, he makes comments on the administration, the last administration, and then the first Trump administration. So we got 3 administrations that have played in the vector of situations in the CDC of which we have been, let's say, injured by. So we can't lose the understanding that through other administrations, all they've been doing is clamping down and redirecting things. And the result has been injury and death. It's just
Wow.
plain and simple.
Their agenda, though, isn't it?
Depopulation, guys. We got to wake up to that. So thank you, Frank.
It is in that. I mean, when you really nut it down, it is in that, but it comes in these different fashions that, again, the way they do it is they want all of us arguing about which group is responsible. You know what? I've been saying this from 4 years ago. They're all responsible.
All of them are. All of them.
Yeah.
Every single state, the governor's like, we're going to have a lottery. Put them in the same bucket. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. Doug, you really like Dr. Peter McCullough. You understand the lies that we've been told, and you stand a firm ground. What's your thought of the national situation in relation to a lot of people doing civil unrest against the ICE groups and different organizations like this, trying to get out the crime, get out the what we heard today, Chicago, the Illinois governor has been kind of protecting this gang guy that's been in child trafficking and all this other details.
He was subpoenaed.
And this was the governor protecting a criminal.
Yeah.
So what say you about all that, Doug, and what's going on in Texas? Go ahead.
Well, I think, of course, that I'm all for public, discourse and things like this. However, the minute you start spitting on somebody, get out into the street, it's fair game. Just immediately take them to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And take those people that are doing those kinds of sillinesses. I love how the left portrays this as civil disobedience as normal. No, it isn't. Getting out there and spreading the word of what you believe is. However, getting in the way of traffic or getting in the way of certainly law officers trying to do their job. Stand on the sidewalk, protest all you want, even though I wouldn't do it. But I believe that anybody that starts stating things like this, where they're gonna start like Governor Pritzker should be arrested immediately, because what he's doing is just the same as anybody else that's been talking about this and saying, by the way, you can go out and do harm to people. It's causing a reflex by those people that are saying, well, you see, the governor said it, so it must be okay. And it goes back to probably before it, but I think always of the Hillary Clinton deplorable thing, where she calls half of America deplorable. That is already framing us as in a negative light and saying to people, we're not human, we're subhuman. So, Governor Pritzker saying stuff like this, he needs to go to jail. And once you do that, take a couple of these folks to jail, it will cease immediately. But you need to start locking them up and giving them hard sentences. Make an example of them. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And then what's going on here in Texas? Well, pretty much the same thing that always goes on over here is, we have some liberals around here. They're not too plentiful, thank God. But, certainly up in Austin, I'll never live in Austin. And, but we have, one of the things that Dr. McCullough was saying is the problem down in Galveston, that's right here in San Antonio too. And I made a note of that because I was talking to somebody that sells professional steam cleaners, and they were selling them to the biolabs that they're doing right here in San Antonio, where they're experimenting on baboons, and they needed something heavy duty to clean up all the baboon shit. So I'm completely against all of that kind of stuff. And then we get back into the the vaccination stuff. And one of the things that started me down this road was the polio vaccine, which is, by all accounts, a great vaccine. But they changed the statistics in 1955 when they started spreading the Salk vaccine. They changed the statistics about what was polio. Because what is it, Guillain-Barré, I can't pronounce that properly, was included in that. Is like has paralysis or shows signs of paralysis for a couple hours. That was originally what it was before the very year that they came out with the Salk vaccine, and they eliminated a lot of that criteria. So it naturally took care of about 50% of what the Salk vaccine did before that. And then God knows about every other damn vaccine out there where they started off putting mercury in everything, because to make a dead vaccine or not a live vaccine interact with your system, you have to have something that's an irritant to the system. So at first they were doing, and I think anybody that would read RFK's book will understand they were, of course, using mercury as that irritant until somebody goes like, well, where's that going? And they go, oh, it's just going somewhere. Well, they found out later it's going right to the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
And then what's the next thing that they used?
Fluoride.
Aluminum. And there are still many shots that still have aluminum. So yeah, we're screwed. I've had a whole bunch of them, but I will tell you the light at the end of the tunnel here, and I would encourage everybody to do this from now, and especially their younger people. Do you know there's no database of your inoculations? Nowhere. And I know you, Ashley, you probably had just as many as I have. Anthrax 1, Anthrax 2. Bottom line is this. Yeah, you can start your own vaccine record now. Just start doing a little research and fill it all up, because you're never going to get away with it. We talk about the COVID vax. How many of you all were forced heavily to take the COVID vaccine? I know it was certainly pushed on me because I was dealing with the military all the time. And that's when I first started finding COVID vaccines. So could have started a cottage industry with those cards that I was making up, and they worked everywhere. My wife traveled across into Greece. Here's my COVID card. Looked just like the regular one.
Well, I gotta tell you, Doug's right. And during those dark times, we had to rely on each other to share information. And we actually had 3 or 4 religious exemption letters that we wrote for people, for members of Red America First, and that actually got to save their employment, and they don't have the poison in their bodies. So thank you for your pointers there, McGay. So how much time we got with you? Do you want to share your tidbits before you get off? And then I want everyone to take notes on how to do the state to state. Ron Nevada's gonna give you guys a good introduction on how to do that. And then Brett, I was gonna call on you to see what you want to talk about tonight. Go ahead, McGay. So how much time we got?
No, I've only got about 5 minutes here.
All right, tell us something, and then we'll tell you good night, I guess.
Well, as I said earlier, my time is being consumed on issues right here in Kauai, dealing with goes back to COVID, goes back to cases that were done during that time with the 3 branches of government actually were all in conspiracy against us. And so I'm reopening that litigation, if you would, against the 3 branches of government and department heads and various people, because you mentioned accountability. Well, the only way we're going to get accountability, at least locally here, is we're going to keep pushing the issue that they didn't do the research, they didn't follow the scientific method. As Peter McCullough pointed out, we're in an ideal climate. We belonged outdoors. People were getting citations being out on the ocean, swimming, and called in from swimming. Some would paddleboard by themselves and be called in and get ticketed. So A little went to the extreme, but our doctor, Governor Josh Green, who claims to be a doctor, is still to this day pushing the vaccines, pushing the boosters.
Josh Green is evil. You know that.
Oh yeah, we know where he's coming from. And even before that was mentioned, I think it was Peter that mentioned it. Even the King of England, his two programs were eugenics and climate change. And so it just stems from there to keep things going that have been going on for centuries. And the bioweapons labs are very key. And we have DARPA right next to us here in Maui. So, and direct energy weapons testing. So we're primed with the evil all around us. And that's what we're preparing the people for. We're re-educating them on their rights. So the hierarchy of law, how to protect their rights, know their rights. So when the next scare comes, that was pointed out, that people will be more prepared to deal with it.
Perfect. Thank you, McGaso. You know, McGaso, he's our leader of the corruption pillar for Red America First, and he's always been a Patriot family member of ours, and looking forward to him coming back to Florida and visiting again. So thank you, and good luck to what you're working on tonight, McGaso. Thank you for that. Brett?
Thank you.
Yes, good evening.
You are wearing an amazing pillar hat yourself, and you're going to get to talk about that a couple Thursdays from now. But outside of that, what national news or state level Florida stuff do you want to bring up to the team and chat with us? Thank you.
So I was thinking about what to share for the Intel round, and I've recently been getting very involved with the VOAD, the Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters, or the county level, the COAD. And today I met 3 young folks who are employed now. It's a nonprofit organization that received a lot of FEMA money for the Helene victims. So here it is, just over a year after Hurricane Helene, and FEMA's been able to allot some money to help the victims. I thought that was, well, I'll say a little too late, but anyway, that's the intel I have for the group.
Oh, well, thank you, Brett. And we're excited to see how amazing things can grow. And you know, we stand behind you 100%. All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
So Ron, give the team on-the-job training. All right. So this is a state-to-state intel round. Go with Nevada. Let's hear it. Ron, Nevada, you're up.
Okay, can you hear me?
Lima Charlie.
Okay, so my area here is pushing COVID shots. And they're actually, the hospital saying, just drive up and we'll come out and hit you in the arm, and you just keep driving, and it's on the radio, and it's being pushed really strongly here. Come get your free COVID shots. Okay. That's
They're on
one.
every bulletin board too. They're on bulletin boards, and you're driving on the freeway, and you'll see it in Spanish too. Get your COVID shot.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible.
It's terrible.
So I can give you some headlines, but I have to take my picture off. So let me give you the headlines of what's happening in Nevada from what I can see. All right, a federal judge in Nevada has ruled that President Donald Trump's pick for U.S. attorney in that state is not serving in that position legally, disqualifying her from overseeing 4 felony indictments of defendants who sued over their cases. Sigal Shattah, a Israeli-born lawyer who defended churches' right to remain open during COVID-19 pandemic, and ran for Nevada Attorney General before being derailed by leaked comments in which she said the incumbent Democrat, a black man, should be hanged, was appointed to serve as Trump's interim U.S. attorney, but faced a dead end to permanent confirmation as both of the state's Democratic senators refused to return their blue slips consenting to her nomination. And that's why she's being disqualified. Yeah, I like her. She's a fighter. Labor unions team up to revive Las Vegas movie studio proposal. This is an opportunity for a lot of graft, and they're trying to get the movies. They're going to give tax breaks to people to come into Nevada and do movies there. Okay, that's what this is all about. And the labor unions, they want it. Okay, the avian influenza cases surge near Las Vegas. The Nevada Division of Wildlife urges caution for Nevada hunters. And bird season starts on the 11th here in Nevada. And yeah, I just mentioned that. Okay, in thirsty Reno, a crucial vote could usher in more water guzzling data centers. A new development that initially planned to bring 5,000 new housing units to the area could soon draw sprawling data centers. Residents warn of strain on water supply as AI data hubs bloom out west. And we talked about that before, I think. Updated COVID vaccines now available at Southern Nevada Health District clinics. Southern Nevada to expand AI gun detection on transit system. Now, this to me is a bad thing because what they're doing is they are preventing lawful Americans from exercising their constitutional right if they want to ride on the transit system, because the AI gun detection system will alert the police, and then I don't know what happens after that. You probably get arrested. But I think it's a terrible thing, this gun detection. Not that it's bad, but that they're going to prosecute you for exercising your Second Amendment rights. Okay. Geothermal project sues the federal agencies and says that there's no evidence it will drive the toad to extinction. So the projects want to expand here in Nevada, and the government saying, no, you can't because we have a toad that's going to go extinct. So the fight is on. Okay, Thacker Pass Securities critical loan release from federal government. This has to do with lithium mining. And Thacker Pass is projected to be a gold mine for lithium. And President Trump is backing the expansion of lithium mining in America so that we can get these elements besides from China. And Thacker Pass is the place they're going to do the mine. And they finally got a loan release from the federal government. Okay, Nevada child vaccine rates continue to decline, raising herd immunity concerns. Well, I think that's probably a good thing. Okay, our Republican Governor Lombardo kicks off his campaign in Fallon, Nevada. And I hope he wins because he's going up against a rabid left-wing attorney general. Okay, Nevada U.S. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat, colleagues introduce legislation to protect federal workers and their families from financial hardship during the shutdown. Nevada U.S. Senator Jackie Rosen says a report by the Urban Institute shows 267,000 veterans nationwide will lose health care if Republicans allow the ACA tax credits to expire. I believe the ACA is that Obamacare that got passed years ago. Well, they fail to mention that it's the Democrats that are shutting down the government. But okay. Okay, a new Nevada election investigations website launched. So they're going to have a website that's launched for investigations into election corruptness, which I think is great. Nevada Energy, the biggest energy seller here in Nevada, was caught trying to charge customers for its own negligence again. I mean, geez, when does it ever stop? Trusting Trump to negotiate if Dems surrender in a shutdown would be naive. That's our Democratic Senator Rosen saying that. Well, okay. That's all I got, folks.
Very, very good job, Ron. So let me give you a little bit for that.
Whoa!
Christian, California, what's going on in your state? Rob, Ohio's next. Go ahead, Christian.
Hi, okay. We have, first of all, there's going to be a tropical storm Priscilla that's going to hit Imperial County and the California-Arizona border. That should be good because it will bring water into the Colorado River and into Imperial County. The next thing that I have on the list is Governor Newsom signed an anti-Semitism bill today, AB 715. This bill creates an office to protect rights of students in K through 12 grades. It's basically just another way for Newsom to siphon off money. There's not a whole lot of anti-Semitism that goes on in kindergarten. So he's doing nothing for the anti-Semitism that's going on in the colleges. But that's what he's spending his time on. California bans octopus farming, and that's AB 3162. So you can no longer farm octopi in California. AB 130 was signed, and that limits the public hearings on housing for it limits fines that HOAs can impose on housing occupants if they're out of or in violation of HOA rules. It doesn't say that they're limited to how many times they can fine you $100. It's just $100 per violation. There is something else about AB 130 that happens, and that's it limits the hearings on private projects so that if there's going to be something like changing a fire burn area that was prior to the burn, it was single family homes. Now they want to put multi-housing, multi-family units in, basically apartment buildings. They're limiting the amount of hearings. That way they can rush it through and get these apartments built where there was formerly single family dwellings. Then there's a Senate AB 131, and that provides environmental impact exemptions for certain types of housing. That's again so they can rush through and put multifamily units where single family dwellings were. But there's also a poison pill in that. It also appropriates $500 million for homeless housing. So that way they can justify multifamily units and put in low-income housing into these areas that were formerly for families. Now they're going to turn them into big city farms for people. There's a proposition that Newsom is trying to push. It's called Proposition 50, and they want to gerrymander the state. There's a big issue going on with that where we're saying vote no on 50. That way they don't put politicians in charge of gerrymandering the state. That's just a pet project that Newsom's running. He's trying to defeat Trump. There is also Newsom is cutting funds to schools that sign on to Trump's rules for anti-Semitism and how they have to treat. So any colleges that sign on to Trump's agenda, they're going to cut funding from the state.
Wow. Wow. Christian, thank you for the update. Real quick, the government shutdown, folks, we're going to talk about that in open mic here in a little bit. I just got to be very transparent. You know, there's going to be a finger pointing game. The Republicans are saying Democrats wanted to add all this healthcare stuff for illegals, and the Democrats are going to point the finger at the Republicans. I just want to remind everybody that we have the presidency, we have the Senate, and we have the House. So they could do nuclear option to get the government back in play. And I just want to also remind everybody, Trump's trying to drain the swamp. He has capabilities of doing a lot of draining right now. So I want to make sure he gets his time in that he needs to drain the swamp. As we have been discussing tonight, there's a lot of people in the way of accountability, people hiding stuff from we the people. And it's a double-edged sword. We need to drain the swamp, and we also need to get the government back to work. We do have a challenge, though. World War III is close. You guys could argue with me about this later. And, we have veterans. We have other social programs that need, the funding. So the political game that's being played in DC is really unfair. And then looking to the future, we're going to be having stock market discussions next Thursday. We're predicting a market crash. So if you're listening right now live, RedAmericaFirst.com, Dinesh D'Souza next Thursday, 9 o'clock, we're going to have Carlos, and then talking about financial pillar. And then we're also going to have a state leader from Indiana that's going to be joining Red America First. Come on. But the point that I'm bringing up related to all this is the stock market crash is coming. The government shutdown is impacting a lot of capability for our warfighters and stuff like this. So, I'm hearing next week, if funding doesn't, if the government isn't lifted, the shutdown isn't lifted by next week, a lot more bad things are going to happen in relation to our country's capabilities in certain scenarios. So next Wednesday is kind of like the flag in the sand in relation to that. And I also want to point out one more thing, that there's supposed to be a false flag in the next 24 to 72 hours. So if it happens, I hope it doesn't. If it doesn't, good information, and we just move on. But be prepared for something crazy might happen. Christian, you got to go back. Go ahead.
Yes, I have two more things to say. One is I'm affected by the government shutdown. There's also going to be a reorganized California convention on 10/25 So the 25th of October this year, and it's going to be down in San Diego. I have a big for reorganizing California. It's being hosted by the New California State group that is trying to change California into a red state. So it's important to find out what's going on. You can see what's going on there at www.newcaliforniastate.com. And also what you're saying about Congress, you know, when they say that they're shutting down hospitals, that's not true. The hospitals in rural areas are funded, but what they're arguing is the Democrats are saying that they're fighting for American health care. What they're not saying is South American health care. They're not fighting for Americans. They're fighting to open up health care to all the people that cross the border. That's really what's going on.
Correct.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. Rob, Ohio, good intro there, Christian in California. You know, it's hard to follow Ron's report. I gotta tell you, he masters it well. Rob, please, how Valerie and I, we're gonna walk our dogs, and full transparency, our dogs are
Not vaccinated.
they are completely clean from what I call the deep state poison, and I know Sandra wanted to chime in about her dog before Peter McCullough had to go. And look, I know more than 10 dogs in my life, that had seizures. And guess what the seizures came from, guys? It came from these vaccines that you give to the dogs. They didn't just get seizures out of nowhere. And it's not, it wasn't just one dog. It wasn't just two dogs. This is several dogs. And anyway, Rob, Ohio
didn't have his first seizure until like after 2.5 years.
That's how my dog was.
Or Bentley.
And I'm not getting him any more vaccines. I asked them what was the legal thing that I had to do, and they said rabies. And I'm not even taking him for that because I'm afraid he's gonna have a seizure if he goes.
You guys call Valerie offline and we'll tell you what to do. Well, I'm not gonna do this publicly right now.
You just can't take your dog. You can't take your dog on the plane if they got to at least have rabies. If you want to take them on a plane, FYI.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Like I said, we'll talk offline about this topic. Rob, Ohio.
Yeah, I'm avoiding it.
Rob, Ohio, please help with the open mic. Sabine's up here, Doug's up here, Ron, others are up here. We're just gonna walk the dogs real quick and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Oh, by the way, Ashley, I just sent you letters I got out of Fort Bragg of the furlough, so it's just kind of interesting if he wants to share it.
Thank you. I will when I get back. I'll show it.
All right, no problem.
I will.
Okay.
Doug, do you want to just put it inside of the chat, then everybody can copy and paste it?
Yeah, I had to send it to myself. You know, I'm technologically well.
We'll rely on you, man.
Technology sometimes. Art, all that other stuff, I can do it. Yeah, I'll send it in the chat. I just had to send it to myself first.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's real interesting. We were out at Fort Bragg last week, and just before everything started, we had a show that we had to do. I'm in audio video, so it was really interesting. And then we went to go see our people at the end of the day, just like we always do, and nobody was there. Everybody had cleared out. And if you read the paper, it says you're not even allowed to pick up the phone, do anything while you're on furlough. And we're even seeing the court system starting to go that way. They usually have a 30-day backup for that kind of stuff. But furlough is being happened for everybody around the military. So we can't get anything done for work, kind of like we're on a pause. But
that's going to be a problem if the war starts.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Oh, I think they would start up real fast when they realize their butts are on the line.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, when the government goes on furlough, don't they get back pay when it starts back up?
Yeah. The government will get back pay. The people that are working for the government, the GS-14s and whatever else, will not. They're just on, vacation right now, and they can't even take vacation time. So it's pretty interesting. Like I say, I'll send you guys. I'll put it up in the chat because we were just going through one place and there was a copier machine there. Somebody made a bunch of copies, and then the place was like a ghost town. And there was nothing going on. And we finally realized it's like, oh yeah, furlough. We can't do anything. So I was supposed to fly back early. Oh, actually, I was supposed to fly back on last Saturday. And of course, the airlines wouldn't change my ticket for one day. They wanted to charge me a full price. So I won't even do that to my company. So anyway, I get to spend my Friday, last Friday in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Anybody been to Fayetteville?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
That place is incredible.
Yeah, I got a speeding ticket there.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
You
a
criminal,
bad
you.
Well, I
know,
think
right?
everybody, I think Forbes said like 5 years ago that more people are like 78 million Americans will be working from home because things are changing, right? So, I mean, that's what we do. We work from home. We're definitely affected because other people are affected, but we can control our destiny by being connected like this, sharing information, not going into the war zone and being nuts,
Actually, over here, there's a lot more people that are actually bringing their employees back into the offices. The bank I worked for, I'm retired now, started bringing people back into the operation centers and branches. And I'm noticing, other like companies that we dealt with, we're doing the same thing because for quite a while they were letting a lot of people work from home, but it looks like the trend is now moving towards people working in the office. Hey, I wanted to mention something though when Ashley was talking, but first let me just say, I don't know if you mentioned this, Doug, about Texas. Did you hear about the Governor Abbott ordered the elimination of the markings with political and social messages? Like the rainbow
Oh yeah,
markers
I've
on
heard
the
of that. Yeah, the
crosswalks.
rainbow, the
Yeah,
flags.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
that
love
was
it.
in the paper, yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna potentially defund for non-compliance. So I love that.
Good.
And then just to get back with what Ashley was talking about, as far as like I've been listening to finance shows. I usually listen to them while I'm bike riding, and like almost every day. And I'm hearing these guys say that the dollar they're debasing the dollar, and yeah, they're looking at a stock market crash, and they're also looking at they're seeing the same trend about since the gold and silver are going way up. Same thing happened right before the crashes, the previous crashes that we've had. Okay. So it's kind of scary, actually. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if anybody follows KS Coordinator, that's Tori, on X, but she has a video that she recently posted, and she posted it several times so that people would share. And basically it was a video of a training session just recently of federal employees, bureaucrats, doing a training session. I'm getting some feedback here for some reason. I'm not sure how that's happening.
It's Becky. Becky, you're on a live mic.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so she did it, and you can go to her X page, and it's interesting. It's a Zoom call of federal employees doing a training session to they have a big group of them, and they're not just here in the United States. There's groups of them in other countries doing the same thing to do basically a takeover of our country. Okay. I mean, literally, she's got names, she's got their employee numbers, she's reporting these people as I don't know how she gets in these Zoom calls, but I do know that her background is she's got connections and she has, some way of doing it. She's worked for the government in the past, and so she's got ways of doing this. But anyway, I should actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link in the chat. And if you guys want to go look at it, there's music in the beginning of it. If you don't want to listen to it, fast forward it and go to it. You'll hear what I'm talking about. It's very interesting. And she interjects during the Zoom call. She'll pause it and interject with her thoughts and tell you kind of what's going on. So it's very, very interesting. That's all.
Okay. You say that's people inside the United States and outside the United States?
Yeah, they're federal. They are federal
Government
employees, but they're located also in other. They are working for supposedly working for the United States, but they're also groups that are now out in different countries as well. Yes.
Okay. Well, just like all the rioters and everything else that's going on, and they're starting to trace the money, and it's leaning back to quite a few people.
Yes.
Hopefully
Exactly.
they will be tied in with that as well. And well, once you cut off the funds, people don't work for nothing. That's what the furlough's teaching us. So
yeah, I'm copying the link right now. I'm going to share it in the chat. So I would absolutely please, go to this chat and go to this link and listen to it when you get a chance. It's kind of long. It's actually 3 hours long, but you can fast forward in the beginning part. She's got music and then she takes a break sometimes. But it's very, very interesting. You'll see. I mean, these are young. They're all women too. They're all women planning these divisive things. It's just crazy. Okay, I'm sharing the link right now, and if you want to see if maybe, yeah, there it is right there. Okay,
that would truly be a sedition act.
It's treason. It is, and she even says that it is absolute treason. Absolute treason. They got their faces on there and everything. She's identified bunches of them. So yeah.
Well, if the government gets a hold of that, look what they did to the Philadelphia Eagle, Philadelphia fan for the baseball, the Phillies, where she, the Karen there that took the ball away from the little boy. She got fired. What are they going to do to these people?
Yeah.
So I hear some scuttlebutt about Trump has the opportunity to get rid of federal workers. Does anybody think that he's actually going to do that, or do you think that will actually happen?
It's going to have to happen sooner or later.
Yes, I do think he's doing. I think Trump's doing a lot of stuff in the background that we just can't see and he's got to play along with these guys. He's up against a lot, So pray.
He's got to play ball with the opposite.
He's got to play ball. So pray for him. I mean, just keep praying for him. Every day, every morning, pray for him.
Do you hear that he's going to go to Gaza and be part of the signing?
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, that's not too good. I don't think. I don't want my president going over there.
Well,
at least he's not building hotels there yet.
So I was able to watch the same thing that Sabine watched. This is not anything new.
No, it's not.
Look at federal employees. They call themselves progressives, right?
Yes.
They all
not all of us.
They all had various perspectives on the system's not working, so we're going to do this and this and this. So you've got money coming in, and if you think it's all from the Democrats into these people, then you're sheep over the cliff. This is coming in from both sides.
Yeah, uniparty.
Well, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just think, I bring it up again. Rand Paul stood up and lied to everybody while he said Tony was lying. Okay. So our government is in on all this stuff. Why does Pete Hegseth get a War Department accommodation, Department of War? So if you're not cluing into what is building up, I heard this thing about the stock market. Okay. I took a course 4 years ago that was way beyond my 4 years of college economics that I did in 4.5 weeks about the whole system and the history. So remember, where did gold and silver come from and at what human cost? So I understand it is an asset. It's a hard asset. Where did it come from? Came out of the ground. Who harvested it? How many humans died in the harvesting of gold and silver? If you don't know the answer to that, look it up. All right. Be careful when everyone's going, hey, in past conditions, gold and silver went up and the market crashed. Guess what? The market can crash anytime. Okay. When it crashes, your gold or your silver, your platinum, or whatever your jewelry that you have is not going to buy you anything when it crashes. So just be careful, be very careful about this. And the other question I'd be asking, understand, is if you're buying gold, are you getting it delivered to your house?
Right, exactly.
Or are you buying it through a fiduciary that says, I'm holding it in an account for you? The other part, if you go in and look at what the gold reserves are, if you think they're telling you the truth, think again. Number two, China has about 2 times the amount of gold reserves than they have told the world. So if they ever unleash what gold reserves they have, your gold goes down like a roller coaster. So here, my point here is be careful with all this information that you're observing. And
yeah, well, so I observe things, I observe diversification too. I mean, I'm also looking at Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is a great asset. All right. There's only 21 million that can actually be mined. Right.
Well,
And
if you
so-
knew the story
is it-
behind Bitcoin, so if you go back to the story and what it was designed for by the agencies to surveil people, you might have a different perspective.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've been
I'm
studying
the
it
asshole. I'm the asshole that comes on to share everything that most people don't have an understanding of. And that's why, number one, I like gold just like anyone else. Okay. I like accretive activity like anyone else, but my value system says I know how it came to be, how many humans were at the destruction, and in the Bitcoin or cyber currency industry,
cryptocurrency.
in the industry,
Cryptocurrency is not the same as Bitcoin, though. They're totally different things, basically.
okay, to take a look at the servers and all the data warehouses and all the material that goes into do your peer-to-peer activity. So if
I've been involved with it for many years. As far as
support mining lithium, cobalt, zinc, all those things, if you support that and you want to see cement cities of servers, be my guest. I don't support that as a value system. It's not a value system. It is a fucking pipe train.
It's a stock. No,
it's not a stock. It's not, it doesn't
It's a
have
casino.
anything to do, no, it's not even a casino. It is an electronic, so it's a usury of energy and raw materials out of your earth. But you think it is an accretive, like, like because there aren't so many of these mined elements that it goes up. Just think about the integral cost factor going on. No one thinks of the all intending cost to these things. They get caught up in other people selling this crap. There are so many people, podcasters, selling this. I know most of them, and I don't agree with anything that they're peddling. Anyways, that's all.
Right on. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, my view on it is you're going to die someday and you can't take it with you. You know,
Good
if you're going
point.
to focus your life on being wealthy, you're going to be the poorest person possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, well, just one other thing about what Frank was saying. There's more gold in the mantle, or in the viscous underneath the mantle, than there is in the mantle itself. So we haven't even gotten if we ever pull in one of the asteroids that's laden with gold, gold will sink to nothing. It's just a rare commodity right now, but it's all the labor that took to mine it, all the blood, sweat, and tears. That's what it's valued. Is it's not the only good thing about gold is you can carry your work from one location to another.
Can't eat it.
Yeah, you can eat
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of hard to trade it for stuff, right?
Well, right now, but eventually, it is one of the things that you can carry with you. I mean, it's like you could grow a field of wheat.
Kind of
That
heavy,
has
isn't it,
value
though?
there. But you can't take it all with you to the grocery store.
I heard a
That's
guy
why
saying,
gold came
Plus, you
about.
probably get robbed
I
anyway.
heard a guy saying, don't invest in those things. He said, invest in things that are actually useful, like food and things like that. And because
You can only eat so much. You got to have balance in your life. But all wealth is either grown or mined. That even goes while what Sabine was saying about Bitcoin is considered a commodity. But we're 1 EMP away from, or solar flare away from all that being wiped out.
that's what I think too.
Yeah. The best place to lay all your wealth is in heaven. So
Well, I
do your
think that
best.
we're looking, if things turn out the way, hopefully that they don't, hopefully Trump is, doing something in the background that we cannot see. Of course, if he is, we would not be able to see it because then the enemy would be able to see it. But if he's not and we lose, because it looks like we've already lost our country at this point, it would be rather we need to gain it back at this point. Win it back. But if we don't, then I think that we're going to be looking for some very chaotic times.
War's
Oh.
coming. It's on the
You
brink.
call it chaos, I call it interesting. But,
Russia and America at war is not going to be very nice.
no, it's going to be on our shores this time.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
it's just the grand scheme of things, I guess.
Do you think that Trump is actually going to okay those long-range rockets? I heard he was vacillating.
The Tomahawks, are you talking about?
I heard he was vacillating on that.
Yeah, that will probably be one of the last things he does before we get into it.
Yeah, that would be.
Of course, and Russia's had such a hard time with Ukraine. We've backed them, but they've done a lot of improvements into war. We're on a different level now, where we've always scaled ourselves for the big conflicts. You can build a drone and attach some bombs to it and just fly it all over this country. Because
That's going to
I'm
be a
pretty
war.
sure
That's going to
that
be a danger if they okay the tomahawks that can reach deep into Russia. That is
oh
going to
yeah,
be that makes America at war with Russia. No more proxy about it. America
well,
is
we've
at
been
war
at
with.
war with Russia for a long time now, Ron. It would just make it much more obvious. Let's
Okay.
face it, we've sent over the F-16s, the Abrams tanks. I mean, yeah, we're giving them intel because they couldn't target what they're targeting without our intel.
Yeah, and I heard that China was also giving Russia the intel in order to use their drones.
Yeah, them, North Korea.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the ones that you'd have to remember is the BRICS nations. They're the ones breaking away from the world status as it is. So you would have to lay eyes on Brazil, Venezuela. I mean, it's all South America. So this, if it does go world war, it's going to be a real chaos for a while.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, because we might even be seeing places here in America hit with long range
Oh,
rockets.
we have to. I
Well,
mean,
it,
like I
it,
say,
if
in World War
this
II,
if this develops into what the commentary is about the upcoming World War III. I mean, we've been in World War III with bioweaponry. We've been, we created the wars that we're observing over there. The ceasefire, which there's never a ceasefire. There's always stuff going on inside there that you're not going to hear about. I mean, we're not really getting the real news unless you're dealing with some people who actually have spent years and years and years over in Indonesia. If they've been watching it from that perspective over here, I don't think we're getting anything of the right intel at all. But
Have you heard of Michael Yan, Big
I've
Honey?
heard of Michael Yan. Yes, I have. Okay. I just posted something in the chat area that if you go to 1 hour and 38 minutes, you're going to hear a discussion about a gentleman who has lived over in Asia and other countries and the Emirates and those areas and has been doing documentaries, and he has a perspective. One of the things I've been observing, and this happened during the Iran-Contra, this happened during all the other false flags that resulted in wars. They had nothing to do with the actual countries at each other's throats. It had to do with people manipulating the political people inside those countries. And, we fall for this bullshit and we make the armaments to be deployed and, at everyone's expense. So we're just, we're in this age of stupidity right now, and we're calling other people out who are the bad guys. The ones controlling this are ones you never know about. Now, I mentioned Peter Thiel a lot. Peter, because he has a track record of funding these activities, is still doing it. So is Jeff Jonas. So are some other people that have a track record of doing this in previous decades. Okay, they have connections to high people in political areas, and they plant them. They fund them.
yeah.
We've been taken down the George Soros path so many times. George is one of the people. Why is he a poster child? Because they want us focused on a guy who does a little bit of the activity. He's
Oh, he does a
connected.
lot, but he's
Yeah,
just
but
one
he's
person.
connected. He's connected to 20 people you don't even know.
Yeah, there's a
Sure.
bunch of them out there for sure. BlackRock,
Right.
all of them. Peter
Well,
feels
yeah,
horrible,
yeah, but
you know?
all these. So I'll give you an inside story here. When Google was approached, when Larry Page and Sergey Brin was approached by our CIA, MCAM, a corporation owned by David Martin and his board, was approached too, because he had a totally different find system, not a search system. He was given the same deal, or his company, same deal that those boys were given. And MCAM took a pass. Now you know the rest of the story, where Google, where Larry Ellison, where Sun Microsystems, where Salesforce.com, Benioff, all these people. You go down a whole list of 20 people. All these people were funded by whom? Our agencies, your taxpayer money. And guess what? They came from other money outside back into our country. So again, we have,
For
we
the
do
purpose
not.
of surveillance.
You know
Well,
what I think
hey,
is funny?
Ron,
We keep
that's,
saying that it's our taxpayer money. Why do they need our taxpayer money? They're just making money out of thin air. I mean,
well,
they
okay.
don't need our money. They're just making money out of thin
What
air
do you
anyway.
think taxpayer money is? It's an extension of printed activity.
Crazy. Yeah.
No, just so the reason I say this stuff is, again, we're getting caught up in is Trump doing something behind the scenes?
Oh, I think he
think
is. I
no,
still
I
think he
think
is.
no, okay. My opinion,
Yeah.
he's part of the problem.
Okay. So then your opinion is basically, Frank, that our country's done. Okay.
No,
So
no.
you're a doomer. You're saying basically we're doomed because if
Hey,
he's
let me
part of
ask
the
you a question,
problem,
Sabine. What was our country founded on, and who financed it? Who financed our country?
the Federal Reserve.
No, they did not. That was
No.
1940, 1913.
13.
So think about this. The first national United States Bank of America was founded by Stefan Girard. Remember, Henry Girard was a pseudonym of Peter Thiel and David
What's your
Book.
point on this as far as Trump goes?
Because Trump is caught in the, think of 2016 and before that. He has so many handlers above him, he doesn't even know what to do. He can't.
On 2016, he could not make one move because they came after him so bad. And Becky, please, could you please mute your mic?
Yeah. Anyways, let me go back to
Feedback.
something.
I don't know if she can hear us or not.
Our banking
But
system was formulated by.
They came after him so hard.
Our banking system was formulated by opium dealers. It's never changed. It's still owned. If Trump wanted to do something, he would get mRNA off the charts.
Okay,
He
well,
would
he's only
attack
had
the
8 months. He's
pharmaceutical
only had 8
companies.
months, 9 months,
Oh,
going on 10
give me a
months.
break. Give me a break. 8 months? You're giving him 8 months? He's had, let's see, he's had.
Frank, they came
4
after
years
him
and
the
8
whole
months.
first term that he was in in his term, the whole first term. They came after
Sabine,
him with
guess
all
what?
those.
In 8 months, you and I will have the same conversation. All right?
All right, well, no,
Just
you
mark
know
my
what?
words.
Listen, Frank, we may
Oh,
just have it.
May I interject?
Yes, please.
Yes, Rosemary, please.
When, please, okay. When Trump announced that he was running for president again, he was served with 91 indictments.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was they didn't want him to run. They were trying their darndest to stop him from getting into office because they knew that he would stop them. And he's been the stopgap all along. They wanted to maintain power. What is it? The power runs everything. And they want to turn this country into a socialistic country. This is their goal. That's why Mendami is running. They've already got some socialists in some of the other cities. This is how they creep in, because they will take over with the population density from those areas, and they will have the power. This is the way they operate, and this is the way they have done it in other countries. So you really need to watch what their, what their intent is, what they're planning, how they're doing it. They are very conniving, and they have plans that are going to destroy this country if we do not stop them. And Trump is the only one right now who is is fighting the battle. So
I
this is,
agree.
Yeah, well, listen,
I agree.
you,
You know,
you've
it's
read,
almost like a Mao takeover.
you've
How
read
Mao did
rules.
it. He impacted the
Yeah, we
schools.
read Rules for Radicals. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh,
we
wow.
know that playbook. We know Trump had all these legal infiltrations. Okay. Do you know how many robber barons made up their own legal arbitration to make it look like someone's going after them? I'm not saying Trump made this up, but this is an old game. All right. So if you think it's, again, I'd rather have Trump in office, but guess what? He is not doing what he could be doing, and everyone's assuming that just be patient for the plan. That's
No,
bullshit.
we're not saying that,
Bullshit.
Frank. But I want to ask
Okay.
you a question.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. You're a doomer. You're a doomer. You're
Not
saying
at
that we're
all.
gonna go into a war,
No,
a
no,
war.
no, no,
We're
no.
done. Okay, prove me
No.
wrong. Tell me.
Listen, I believe we, with the exception, because most of us don't have all their senses operating, because I've proved this before, because I've been through this whole process of how over 8,000 years, our capabilities have been usurped from us. And most people operate on 2.5 senses when we have 12. So if there are so many people operating at a deficit, do you think the activities that are going on, whether it's political, financial, otherwise, are at a sub-minimum? The answer to that is yes. Now, I'm not a doomer because people can bring their game up, but guess what? They're being distracted. If you bring your game up, you can actually overcome these little brush fires going on. You can ignore the other stuff that is going on that creates the doomsday theory. Okay. Now, we do have a problem where if there are things sent and they go, okay, this weapon was too much, so we have to reflex to it, we got a problem there.
So
I'm
you're a
pretty
doomer.
sure.
No,
I mean, cut the
I
shit.
think he's really being
Cut the crap.
rational.
I'm being rational in the fact that we can up our game, but guess what? I've been watching this for 4 years. Most of the people's comments have been the same about how to approach this. Ashley had some very constructive things about inside of this new website he has about stimulating some activities in various parts of our country. But guess what? I told you we were founded on a drug dealing banking system, and then we arbitrated it into a federal system, and then we've played games until right now we're about to be choked. So someone talked about investing in things. Look at water systems, water sanitation, things that are
Well, they're
everyday,
actually stealing that from us right now.
everyday operational things that, because we are going to get hit in the shins pretty soon, just like we got hit in 2020. And guess what? Every governor sent out a letter they didn't write and told everyone to do what? Stay home. Only essential things going to be open. And then they went through the, how to be 6 feet apart. If you don't think that they're going to try this thing again, that it worked really good, and every governor signed the same letter that they didn't write.
Yeah, I believe it's
Yeah.
coming again.
Well, it went across borders, everything. Before COVID even took off here, they were starting to shut us down.
Yeah, we talked to the governors that would talk,
Understood.
and they said, no, I didn't write that. All the churches, with certain exceptions, okay, told their parishioners to stay home while
Yep.
they were paid by our government. This started with the Trump administration before the Biden administration got in. So be careful, be really careful. This is not a doomsday. This is a let's audit ourselves. Audit ourselves. Do an integral accounting of everything around you, and you will find some polarities that are off. Take 6 things.
So tell me what's
What?
so you're saying
Go
that
ahead, Sabine.
that we need to fix ourselves. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I should probably not be taking over this whole conversation. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's kind of went off,
Yeah, and
we've
I
got other
apologize for that.
things.
I'll
No,
stop. You guys
no
can,
problem, Sabine.
you know,
You brought it in, you brought a very nice point in there. We just kind of swayed to one side or too much. But I
yeah,
wanted to get other people involved,
yeah,
like
let me stop.
Rosemary.
I'll
Yeah,
stop here because we're not on the same page, I don't think, really.
no,
Anyway,
we're just politely agree to disagree on this.
absolutely.
Okay. Jennifer, do you have your ears on and can you unmute? The problem with after all this is a lot of people, they go to sleep and they leave the Victoria, are you still awake? Well, yeah, you're in Hawaii. But okay. Becky in Texas.
So I just
Oh,
like people to go to Michael Yon Big Honey on his Substack and listen to his latest Substack and learn about geopolitics. I mean, this guy is fascinating. Michael Yon,
yeah.
Big Honey. You learn a lot listening to him. Anyhow, I just wanted to say that.
Well, I'm sorry. So can you say that again?
Michael Yon.
And how do you spell that?
Mike,
I know his last name's Y-O-N.
He's been on our
Green
show.
Beret.
And he has
Right.
a Substack, you said.
yes, it'd be well worth your time. It's a long
Yeah.
one, but boy, it is pure education.
He's been on our show, guys, and I could get him back. What topic do you want Michael Yon to talk about? Over.
What's the current situation? What's his thoughts on Trump and his administration?
He's not real fond of Trump.
I'll bring him on, but you guys gotta be very careful and understand that this guy's a journalist, and he's a war correspondent. He's really not like an oracle, if you will. So he's opinionated, and it doesn't mean that it's fact or truth.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, and Frank, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm not saying that anything that you are saying that is wrong. I may be wrong. You may be wrong. We both may be wrong. Who knows? What the hell is going on in the background. So I apologize if I even came across incorrectly to you. I didn't want to offend you or anything. But I will tell you that I'm not just listening to Bitcoin people and this person. I have connections that I've been listening to, and they are, by the way, Ron, I was just trying, I don't have my glasses on, Ron, Nevada. Some of these guys are actually military, ex-military. One's an Air Force fighter pilot, still has connections, blah, 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 blah. So I hear a few things too, of what's going on also. So, and who knows I trust a lot of these guys. They're Christians. They're like my brothers. And, you know, who knows? Who knows? I mean, these aren't guys that are sitting there
Sabine,
going,
may I
these-
ask what was your Air Force or pilot connection? What is he saying is going on? Because I was not available to hear what he said. Can you share that?
So he's also, you know, also on the Bitcoin show. Well, not just Bitcoin. They do, you know, they talk about the financial stuff and all that. They're all friends. You know, some of them are like ex-Wall Street guys, blah, blah, blah. And they're all like, they all get together and they chat and I listen in. You know, I don't really chat with them because they're like, their intellectual seems way above mine. I'm a little bit intimidated sometimes, but I do listen to them a lot in the chats and I learn a lot from them. And, you know, his, like what he's saying is that he's hearing chatter, that something's coming, that, you know, maybe there's going to be something that happens, that, an event. And if it does, just be very, very careful, because if, you know, some people, if it's like an event that happens, I'm just calling it an event. If it happens, also be careful if you're there. A lot of people want to go run in and try to help people. But be careful to do that because there might be a second event that happens immediately after. Okay. And then, of course, Tori mentioned some dates, and the first date, and I don't remember there was 3 dates she mentioned. October 18th was one of them because she got that out of some of these chat rooms, the Zoom calls that they had. You know, previously these Zoom calls have been going on. I mean, she's infiltrated some of the Zoom calls from the people that were called the Sunshine Group, and you know, those she exposed online. But anyway, but that guy said, you know, be very, very careful. And just, you know, to me, that makes me feel like I'm not getting in any big crowds right now, you know, but that could also be a grocery store. That could be something that you do normally in your average everyday life, you know, here. So, but that was a warning, because there was chatter. He did not say where. He couldn't, in fact, he was very hesitant on even saying it because it's, you know, he just did it because we were all brothers and sisters in Christ, you know, so that's it.
I
Well, the thing is,
heard this
everybody,
blonde-haired girl on the
everybody
internet.
looks to a personal, you know, I got to be careful with this. Your chances of being in on one of those events is very small. You figure 9/11, 3,000 people. That's what sounds like a lot, but when you say versus 320 million, that's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
Your chances would be better to get $5,000 on the lottery. So just keep that in mind.
There's this.
Yeah, I was just answering his
there's
question, that's all.
Okay.
Can I just interject here? There's this blonde lady that I was listening to on her podcast, and she seems to be like connected to the CIA or something. And she had a lot of really interesting intel. And she talked about inside information concerning upcoming mass casualty events that are going to occur, and that they weren't going to be the biggest event, and that the people behind it that are responsible for these events want to terrorize Americans in small places, not just a big place. So there's going to be like that, Sabine, you said there's going to be an event, and she also said that they the bad people are all dressed up in first responder uniforms.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and maybe it's the same lady. Is the lady you're talking
No,
about?
this is a guy. This was a
Oh,
guy.
okay.
Well, Tori's the one who came up with the dates, and that, you know, this training Zoom call that they're having with these federal employees are you know, doing the training. So yeah, I mean, that's what I thought of as far as when I heard about like an event happening, and that be careful, you know, to run in and try to help, because some of the people that are that you're looking at are probably not firemen or police officers that you think they are?
Right. That's what she said was going to happen. And because there's been a large purchase of first responder uniforms by certain groups of people. And so the plan is to create an event, and then people rush in, and these bad people are in the first responder uniforms that then turn on the people that rush in. And yeah, it's all about terrorism in our country, and about all the people that we have here in our country that are terrorists that have been let in.
Real quick, I don't know, Becky, Texas, did you get to give some updates in Texas? Because you
I
could.
asked and she wasn't on.
Okay, she's.
Talk about Florida.
Well, hang on, Rosemary, because Becky, Texas got a couple things to bring up, and then Derek, Texas, could go after her, and then Sabine could close with any Texas updates, and then we could go to another state, because Rosemary's got updates. Yeah, Rosemary would be after Texas.
I'm going to be signing off in a little while.
Well, okay, just let Becky, Texas go. Derek, Texas, go ahead, Becky.
I don't think she's there.
Yeah, I asked around. Nobody was responding. So, but Rosemary, you should have spoke up then.
Rosemary, go ahead.
Involved in a very heated discussion, and I did not want to interrupt you.
Sorry.
You're up. You're up.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad.
We had a few things happen. One, they are investigating the Hope organization, and that was run by DeSantis's wife, because some monies were given to that organization through the government, and there's, an investigation going on. Now, in addition, I don't know if you all heard, but you know about the fires that were set in California. Well, guess who did it? A Democrat who lives in Florida. And they found him. He has been arrested. And I think 6,000, they were saying 6,000 houses burned down, 20 people died, and many people still have not been able to get any permits to build their houses. Out of 6,000, I think only 19 permits have been issued. So that's another problem with where the money is, what's happening there. And we're still talking about getting rid of property taxes here in Florida. That's another thing going on. And we've had some erosion due to the storms. Now, I don't know, but I heard, and this is from a source. If you notice, we did not have any hurricanes this year. It seems that there is some connection. The two people that were up in space all that time that was supposed to be there for just a short time and then were brought down. They were sent up by the Biden administration. Someone thinks that they were able to do something with the weather, or control certain weather events that were going on, and they were controlling some of these storms. And now, since they came down, we have not had any storms. So this is something that, is very interesting. I don't know if we will find out anything or not, or if they will investigate and further to, see what was done. But it is interesting. And one other thing I read today was that the earth is getting darker. the scientists are finding out because of certain atmospheric conditions with the clouds and so forth, that the sun is not able to promote the light that it has been promoting. And this is, I think, because of cloud formations or something. But I will read further about that because it's very interesting. And that's about it from Florida.
Okay. Question about the man from Florida, the arson.
Yeah.
He came through and said why he did it? Is he an anarchist? Was he paid?
He was enamored with fires. He had seen fires and was imagining fires, and therefore he went. I don't know why in California, or if he was living there at the time. I'm not positive, but because of that, he did set the fires.
Okay, pyromaniac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The
Well,
latest update. Oh,
we do tolerate a lot.
Yes.
Go ahead, Derek.
yeah, I was gonna say I did hear an update that he was living in California when he did well, presumably set the fires, and then he moved to Florida afterwards. But the things that I don't know, is that all? Is it okay to talk about something slightly
Go
different?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things I've been concerned about, and I think there's a heavy connection to the World Economic Forum, is there's a lot of countries that are getting prepped up for real ID or national ID tracking situations. There's the Australia, they're doing it in the UK, of course. All of these things, they're trying to sort of appeal to the emotions of people, saying, oh, it's for the children, to protect children, like we can't protect our children as parents. We don't have tools available. Mexico is also doing some weird things with they're trying to push for censorship across politicians can't be as the president in their party there in Mexico, they're trying to push for jailing people that do memes. There's a lot of concerns I have around that, and it seems to be tied, and it seems to be happening all at once, and it seems to be tied to the World Economic Forum and folks and countries that are involved in that, and kind of getting their cues from it, and they're trying to move, it seems like, really quickly all at once. Even Russia, of course, is Putin's pushing out this national, with the sale of phones, they have a national application that's it's pre-installed that has tracking associated with the person that's purchasing the phone as well. So there's a lot of movement across multiple different countries to get this ID tracking of the citizens of the countries involved. And I'm interested to see what folks have heard or seen, or if they're following this as well, and what kind of concerns they have.
Yes. The UK is apparently doing digital ID situation. And I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard, I've read quite a few things about it, and also have been on some spaces calls on X, and heard actually from some of the people that are in the UK. One guy particularly came on, and he was very, very worried and wants to get out of there because it's a problem. And apparently they're wanting to do some kind of like if anybody from the United States goes over there, that they want us to do some kind of a digital ID if we travel over there. But they're very worried. They're worried that they're going to be able to turn off their bank accounts if they want to at will, if they put something on social media that they don't agree with, blah, 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 blah. But they've been doing that for a little while now. They've been actually arresting people for posting things on social media. So now if they have
digital on their, I guess, I don't know, control of their bank accounts, that they can actually do even more now with their money. So that's what I heard anyway. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
it's just a step at a time. They're not going to just all of a sudden jump and say we're your rulers now. You know, it's if you look at your driver's license, it probably has a star on it. That means it's a real ID. And next step is, well, then you got to transfer it over to your phone, where everything you're going to have is in the form of a phone. If you look at China, they're pretty much locked down. You know, they have to have their phones for everything: identification, their finances, any kind of social posts, they can be penalized. Social control, that's what they just want a social control over the whole world. At first, it's just going to be the nations, one at a time or a few at a time. If you noticed, when COVID started, everybody came up with that great idea: let's just lock down. Well, the only one that didn't was Sweden, but what's it's known for? Or Switzerland, sorry, Switzerland. They actually fared better than most. And a lot of the African nations that weren't set up for it, they did well. So the groups are trying to form a one world government. I think a lot of it's being driven by the UN that was set up, at the end of World War II, and they've just been taking more and more power. What they want is control. They have to know who you are, what you do, what you say, what you think, and then they can control you. You know, especially with finances. If they shut off your money, you're just no longer a member of society. But it's going to come to the US. If you notice, they're always building the mechanism for all that infrastructure, but no one's getting rid of it. We change from one president to the next. They only build on top of the structure. They don't tear down the old structure because they can use it at the point. It's going to take a complete mindset where we might have to go back to like the 1930s to live if you want to be free. So it's a trap like anything else. But that's just my worldview right now. I try not to carry the phone with me everywhere, but as you know, if you go like even into a restaurant, I'll scan the QCR tab. That way you get the menu. They're going to make it so that little device that you carry with you that listens to you, tracks you, even when you turn it off, it still does. And I've heard there is a story, the CIA, they have I think it's called the Phoenix Project, where they can download everything you've got on your phone, everything you've looked at, that camera's watching you, how your face reacts, how your eyes move. They're building a psychological profile on all of us. I would love to see what they have on me because they're going to get it. Wish there was a way to stop them, but right now I don't see any way to. People like convenience. Hopefully that helped you a little bit, Derek. Okay, anyone else with any comments on it? Ashley? Oh.
Yes, bring the cameras up. So this is definitely another step to ultimate police state. That's their goal. They're gonna have the AI integration with the cameras. They're putting more cameras on freeways. They have them on a lot of lights. You know that because you get a ticket in the mail if you're running it or whatever. And it's just more control, like Rob said, like everyone's worried about. I'm sorry, guys, but when they say you need this so you can do that, they did that to us in COVID. Remember, you can't see your grandma, you can't see your infant or your grandson unless you do X, Y, and Z. People fell for it, sadly, and we tried to warn them. stand for your freedom of your body, and look what they're going to do with the digital ID. China was basically the test run. They mastered how to do it, and they're going to enforce it everywhere, and it's coming. I hate to tell you guys, so Sabine said it earlier, the uniparty. You could label it however you want, but those people put America last, and everyone needs to wake up to that. I yield.
Okay.
Yes, we're doomed.
How are we going to change this?
Well,
That's the
one
point.
thing that we
talk about everything that's happening, but what can we do? I mean,
well, one thing we have that the other countries don't have. We have a lot of guns over here, so that's one thing.
And they
Don't
know
know.
where they're at. Yeah, the thing is, not everybody has a gun. A lot of people, or there's quite a few that has a lot of guns. So when you hear there's 350 million guns in America, that's only about with 75, 85 million people. That's a lot. I mean, when you look at it over the whole world, we may be well armed, but we're not a majority. They will break us just like they break everybody else. The big question is who's doing it? We can only put they on them. Personally, I like to take the biblical view. It's the beast, the future Antichrist, but we've been building to it. It's just a logical way to go. We're just, hopefully the rest of it's correct.
Peter Thiel and his companies.
What's that, Ron?
Peter Thiel and his
oh yeah,
spying companies.
It all connects, guys. It all connects in a big web of control. And just like Rob says, the phone already tracks where you're going. Derek's concern is digital ID. Then they're going to control, limit you, right? If everything goes digital, think about this. I went to In-N-Out Burger. Okay, we used to have this joke. Okay, that's minus points because it's not healthy for you. Okay, but the Democrats say the cow's farts are really impacting the climate. Okay, so we know it's all BS to create another money laundering thing so they could push these crazy, ridiculous agendas like COVID-19 protocols. But anyway, going back to the cows, I go to In-N-Out Burger and I eat my animal style In-N-Out Burger that I love, double animal style, double cheeseburger, light lettuce. Okay, so I get that, and then they say, and they say, oh, okay, that's your beef for the week. Now with my digital phone and my digital ID and my digital payment, they know I bought beef, and then if they put us in a quota, which guys, it's coming. Now they could limit to what you can buy, and that's where we're headed. We have to avoid it. Somebody asked, what do we do? What we do is we really root out the uniparty. We have to really get back to the JFK Democrat Party, which that's true. I get that side, but they became lunatics. We could all agree. Yeah. They've become not a Democrat Party. They became a party of lunatics. They support crime. They get DAs that will get the criminal just got arrested, put him back in the street. Meanwhile, January 6ers were in jail months and months and months, endless. It was gonna be an endless return until Trump did his pardons. And I'm glad he did, because we found out what the FBI was involved in the whole thing. It was a complete. I saw the videos. I don't know how other people couldn't put two and two together. I saw the arms wave. Come on in. But anyway, going back to the control. So now I ate my cheeseburger. I can't eat a cheeseburger anymore. In fact, I can't go on Taco Tuesday now because I had my beef already. So they control us. They control us, and that we got to mitigate and get RAF candidates in there that will vote for common sense stuff for the American people, not let's control Americans more and limit what they can do. I yield.
And, you know, the other thing is we need to stop voting in attorneys, legal people in the government, because I think that that's a big mistake. You notice how many of these senators and Congress people are attorneys. It's ridiculous. I mean, they need to get out because they are a part of a bad group of ideologists. Their idea
Under the British law.
Yeah, they're a bad group of people. Bad.
So on that note, those on the live stream, we're going to cut you guys off. It's a good night that you joined us tonight. We want you on the panel next week. So go to RedAmericaFirst.com. Tell us what state you're in. We're going to do after hours where we talk about stuff that gets us red flags on YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else. So on that note, I'm going to have to walk around and shut off the live stream, but we're going to continue on. Thanks, guys, for a good night. And Ron, what's the next topic, Ron?
I would suggest watching Monkey Works every 5 days. It really cues you in
Tuesday and Thursdays
to what's going on.
On YouTube, you're talking about the plane.